G'day, I'm Trent Maxwell.
And I'm Lee Mason.
I want to welcome you to our Live, Learn, Survive podcast. Since 2018, Lee and I have travelled the globe, met face-to-face over 36,500 children in 6 countries across 3 continents. We created a series of award-winning children's books, a global online education program, and are founders of the Live, Learn, Survive charity, all focused on teaching children and young adults life skills that will not only help themselves but help others too. We're on a mission to spread awareness about fire, water and first aid education to inspire the next generation of first responders. So join us for the next half an hour with some fun, inspiration and kindness, and we'll try and learn something too. How are you this week, Lee? Welcome to the podcast.
I am good, Maxi, and we're starting the week. It's Monday morning, bright and early.
Monday morning, and we've got a special guest this week.
Hey, we got an exclusive. Whoa.
Exclusive. So it's good to have Harrison here.
All the people on YouTube already know that because they can see it, but the people listening are waiting. My hair's going to drive me mad for this. Let's sort that out. Yeah, exactly. It's all right. Took it in the glasses. The people on YouTube already know he's here, but the people listening, you just gave a sneaky peek who's joined us. Yes. How special are we? First, Post Jungle, the exclusive.
Yes, no, it was a big couple of weeks watching Harrison in the jungle. He did a great job, and we're going to be finding out about, lifeguarding, the jungle, and what's next for Harrison. So do you want to do the
Absolutely. Okay, drum roll, please. Let's intro the main man. So, Maxi, today on the Live, Learn, Survive podcast, we are joined by none other than professional lifeguard Harrison Reid. So for people that may not know, Harrison was born and raised in Christchurch, New Zealand, and he moved to Sydney to pursue his dream job of becoming a lifeguard and worked hard to earn his spot among the elite Waverley lifeguards, now working at Bondi, Bronte and Tamarama beaches alongside yourself, Maxi, and the rest of the team. So the spotlight and Bondi Rescue followed, and making sure this inspirational lifeguarding career patrolling one of the world's most famous beaches was well documented, including many of the incredible rescues, medical incidents, and countless lives that Harrison has saved, keeping locals and tourists from all around the world safe in the surf. On a self-confessed mission to get out of his comfort zone, Harrison recently swapped the beach for the jungle and appeared on the Australian I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And we could not have been prouder, almost to the point of tears, when we learned that Harrison had nominated us, Live, Learn, Survive, as his nominated charity. Today, we could not be happier to welcome him home and have him here with us as the first exclusive chat about life in the jungle and what the future holds. Harrison, welcome home. You're back.
I know, it's good to be back. I can go to the fridge and help myself to food whenever I want. I'm not restricted to camp.
Please tell me you've got rice and beans in your pantry just for a little, moment of like that, snack.
After speaking to Harrison the last week, I don't think rice and beans is on his menu for the next, probably forever.
No.
Ever. The rest of his life.
Yeah, I feel it, mate. I was getting to the stage where I had to force it down me because the beans were the only kind of protein we were getting.
Yeah. And
to the stage where I was actually getting sick. And then I reckon I had a week in there with no beans. I was just having rice for lunch.
Wow, so just plain rice.
Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the hangry?
Yeah. Probably a little bit of hangriness. I know that I probably would have been a bit hangry. I'm sure other people around Australia would have been hangry. But
me too. That would be a disaster. I would have been like, to keep your calm. But we'll talk about all of this and we'll unpack all of this. But what are we going to start with? We're going to get into the lifeguarding first. So let's do justice to your stellar career, Harrison, first before we start all of that. So I'll roll in with question 1. How did your journey as a lifeguard begin, and what's been the biggest lesson for you along the way?
I think for me, I've always, ever since I was very young, I was interested in lifeguarding and kind of first aid, ambulances, paramedics, that first responder kind of field. It got to a stage when I was really young. I had a fascination with first aid kits. So like if the parents went on holiday, you know, everyone wanted to come. You know, people wanted, if your parents went away on holiday, wanted to, you know, bring back a present. Mum and Dad to bring back a first aid kit every time.
So good.
So I started with that, and then really started doing nippers when I was younger. Really got into lifeguarding there, and got to the stage where I think I was like, I don't know how old I was, maybe 6 or 7. There's photos of me sitting by the pool, and I used to put all my teddy bears on boogie boards. And
I think that photo was just shown on TV. Actually.
Yeah,
everyone saw it. Yeah,
and by
so cool.
6 hours.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's good. So, you know, cheap babysitting.
When the
Mum and
wind
Dad.
picked up, did they fall in the pool?
Yeah.
You straight in there?
Tell you what.
Did you ever give a little bit of a pull to
No, Tweety Bird nearly went in one day, but it was fine. And I remember there's also another photo of me. I saw like, you know, like Baywatch and like the rescue tubes and the cans, but didn't have anything like that. So we had like a broken vacuum cleaner. There's like a bit of the metal pole. It was like that big, and then tied the rope around it. That was like my rescue tube I used to walk around with. But like we went on holiday somewhere, like especially if we went to the Gold Coast, I would just sit at the bottom of the lifeguard tower, you know, and this is, you know, since I was honestly probably about 7 years old maybe. And I think for me, it's like, say, speaking coming from New Zealand, like, you know, like a young kid's dream was to, you know, become an All Black, you know, if you're a rugby player.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, getting to a stage where I love lifeguarding. You know, we don't have professional lifeguard services in New Zealand. They have like a regional lifeguard program, which they pay, you know, some uni kids, you know, which we did in Christchurch, you know, for about 4 weeks over the Christmas break in Christchurch, but it wasn't a full-time job. So I was doing that. I didn't have really any social life. Didn't have a social life through that period of, you know, 16 to 18, but really wanted to become a lifeguard. And you know, back to when I said, you know, a Kiwi kid, you know, you want to become an All Black, the best in your field. And I think my dream was knowing like I wanted to work at one of the world's busiest beaches. And and that was Bondi, and that's, you know, where you really can test yourself. And they used to do a holiday academy, which you remember, Maxi.
I remember that, yeah.
I used to come over. It was like in the June school holidays, and it was quite funny. You rocked up there, and you know, had all the Aussie kids, and you know, they're all, because they train all year round. They're fit and all that, and you know, there's me, but I was just so keen, and I was like, oh, I've got no chance here. But I remember, and Maxi will vouch for, and Hoppo said, you know, like you could be the fittest person in the field, but if you can't spot them in trouble, you're no good to them, you know. So
aid or the situational awareness that comes with being a lifeguard. Exactly,
and I think, you know, there was something, you know, one of my skills I was proud of, you know, is always being able to spot someone before they get into trouble. And it's great because, you know, the way I describe the lifeguarding down there is it's kind of like a footy team. You know, you've got all these, you know, different positions, and no one's the same. Everyone brings their different strengths to it. You know, like, as you know, we've got, you know, Maxi, you know, I know he was a lifeguard before, but, you know, the skills from being a firefighter now, you know, we've got guys who are paramedics down there. You know, we've got people that are, you know, big wave surfers, unbelievable in the water. And then, you know, you've got guys who are great with, you know, dealing with people and kids and families and all that. And so, you know, we always come together and make a great team, which is pretty special. So then I did the academy, and then I think they got desperate that year and put me on the traineeship. I moved over from New Zealand and moved straight into Maxi's spare room.
I moved in with Harrison back when Harrison turned 18, and we lived together for about 2.5, 3 years. Which was an awesome time. You know, you can imagine what we got up to being, you know, I was 21 at the time, Harrison 18, and we had a lot of fun. But yeah, how long has it been now? How many seasons?
I think it's my 12th year.
12th year. Yeah. So you know, in any job, you know, 10 years plus is amazing, but 12 years, you know, it's
it is, and it's credible as well, because like you're saying, those, you know, your story there with like you watching the pool and all the rest of it, it's like you, Maxi, with the keeping the garden hose under your bed because you've got your boots ready for the fire alarm going, and you know,
I used to sleep with fire gear under my bed when I was a kid.
Love that.
And after one time I went on school camp across the road, a car got firebombed, and there was a fire truck parked in our driveway. And I remember crying for days because the one time there was a fire in my street,
he was away. He missed it. The big one, Harrison, and he missed it. Heartbreaking.
I remember living with Maxi, and we lived on Old South Head Road, which is a busy road, and there one night, and these sirens were going past. So many, like, this is big, something's going on. We look at each other like, we've got to go and see what's going on.
So we went for a drive, and then found the street where the fire was. And then we drove down there, and I was in my car, and then unfortunately I ended up getting parked in, so we had to wait for the whole incident to be finished, which took a couple of hours.
Yeah, it was like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So here we got the fiery, the paramedic, couple of lifeguards, just in case, brilliant.
Remember that there was that hair salon across the road one day, and we were sitting watching TV.
A big car accident.
And we heard this. The noise was incredible, ran out, and a car had driven straight into the hair salon, remember? And we ran across there.
Norm Spalding was
there,
the ambulance inspector, which we knew from the training at the beach, and he kind of got us involved in a way where we'll kind of help and preserve the scene. So
look, you're handy blokes to have in the apartment block, if you're honest. Let's if there's something going off, you'd be knocking on your door, so that's just brilliant, and it's so. Like, those seeds are almost there, aren't they, when you're really young? I ended up in fashion. I used to unpick my doll's clothes and then hand sew them back together because I wanted to know how garments fitted back together. Yeah, so I think I was the only kid that got the doll's dress and then unpicked it all and laid it all out and then, wanted to put the jigsaw back together. Kids, one thing I would say to people, listen to kids because they are probably subconsciously telling you whether they're want to be a first responder, want to be helping people, want to be creative, all those different things. So cool, and the signs are there, aren't they, from so young? Love that.
Yeah, and off from that question, what's the most intense or rewarding save you've ever made, and how did it unfold? I'm sure there's thousands, but if there's one that comes to mind,
sticks in your mind.
Oh God, there's so many. It's quite funny. I was actually thinking about this when I was in the jungle, and it's something I wish I did when I before I started lifeguarding. I had a book, and then anything major, just write it down, and then just. In that day and the date, and then I could go back to it, down the track and just go, oh, that's when that happened. And there's different things because, we're very lucky. We do get successful resuscitations and all that. But then you get the the strange ones. I remember when the guy drove the car onto the beach.
Yeah, I remember that.
You go back to my first day at work, and then when a lady, and I didn't know where anything was, and new to the area, and we were short, and it was in the winter, and a lady fell over. It was up at the North Bondi when you walk through up the grassy knoll, and they had that concrete octopus in the playground.
Yeah,
and she was carrying a baby, and then she tripped over one of the tentacles and pulled her arm out to black the baby, and it landed on one of the other tentacles and fully compound fractured her arm.
Oh.
And I'm up there and geez, really out of my depth here the first day. And then it's quite funny every time I walk past that there now. I remember these incidents. But I think for me, it's probably the resuscitations are the big ones.
Yeah.
Or even the near resuscitations where, they're unconscious but just breathing.
Yeah.
I think they're the ones that do resonate with me, I think, because, we do a lot of rescues down there, and majority of the time, that's pretty sweet. You get them before it gets bad, or we're very lucky down there with the locals. I mean, we would have a lot more drownings if it wasn't for the locals. I mean, on a busy day, there's 6 lifeguards to 30,000 people.
Yeah.
We can't be everywhere at once, so we kind of rely on that team effort. And then, I think it's probably resuscitations for me.
Resuscitations for sure.
Yeah. And there, I mean, I've been there when I've seen one. Well, I've been there when you've not been working, Maxi, and we've been together, and you've like, hang on, I'm going to go. The boys need help. You're almost like when things happen after hours, you all just turn up, don't you? You just like
someone. There always seems to be someone around. It's very bizarre. All the major incidents, you always see someone running from somewhere, driving past, or you just have good situational awareness. You know your beaches pretty well, and in the past, the guys have said messages on the WhatsApp group. Anyone down Bronte, for late rescues, and we all kind of team up and get down there.
Yeah. And they'd be staying with you because it's not just the person or the patient. It's they would have friends around them. There'd be family with them. It's like, it's full on situation. And particularly somewhere at Bondi, you actually always have a crowd as well, which like wouldn't happen at probably anywhere else. But, you get the people just standing around as well watching. It's like, hats off to you for doing all of that, because it's not an easy job to do in the first place. And you're doing it under a microscope, and some parts of the year you're having it filmed as well. So, a lot of pressure there. So going back to when you knew Harrison with the teddies in the pool and the, summer rescue situation in New Zealand, did you talk to people at school? Did you get any, did you go to school with this and say, this is what I want to do? Did you get good advice, or did you kind of work your own path out?
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky. I kind of worked my own path out, and then for me, I kind of stayed in my own lane. I'd probably describe it. Like I was just happy. Nothing really fazed me. And I think my teachers knew that as well. Like my parents joked with me saying, I kind of just went to school to eat my lunch. And you know what? They're not wrong. It was funny, but it's also hard because when I was in New Zealand and Christchurch, it's not really the climate for beaches. So when I said I wanted to be a lifeguard, people kind of looked at me and go, well, you can't do that forever, like it's especially...
There's another 11 months of the year. How are you going to fill that? Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember we, last year at school and, meeting... I remember I was at like an end of year thing and was meeting the parents coming through for their kids were starting the next year, year 9, that were coming to our house, and they were asking me, so like it was every question was, what university are you going to? And I said, I'm not going to university. I was going to be a lifeguard. They go, but that's just for the summer. Like, what uni is that? And I said, no, it's full time. And they kind of give you this weird look, And by all means, if I wanted to get into finance or, be an architect or a doctor, by all means, that you go to university and that's great.
Yeah.
A thing for me, which I look back on now, is like I knew a lot of people that didn't know what they were going to do. And they just so automatically, I've got to go to university. And so they're in uni, they hate it, they spend all this money, then they chop and change to another one, and the next minute you just, they just spend all this money and they don't know what they're going to do. And for me, I think that's, if you don't know what you're going to do, that's fine. Don't jump into something just because you feel that pressure or whatnot. I think that was one that was a big one for me. And on top of that is, I'm like, it's easy for me to say because I've found love for my passion of work, and I love my job. I honestly say that I haven't worked for 12 years, because of rocking up, Maxi was the same, where we used to get to work about an hour early, and then, everyone's like, what are you doing here? Like, I'm ready for work. Used to shit if, a few of the guys, like, mate, we didn't take lunch. I remember not taking lunch breaks, when I was a trainee. So I was so scared I was going to miss something or miss a rescue that the guys were going to do, and I wanted that one. So, for me, I haven't worked 12 days of my life, and by all means, there are some tough days, but, we thrive on those days, and so I think, I know it's hard to say that people think, there's not a passion, there's not a job for my passion, but you just never know what that can lead to. And, for me, lifeguarding, in New Zealand to beaches, that get, maybe 100 people there on a busy summer's day.
Yeah.
I followed through, and I'm here at Bondi, and it was pretty relentless. And I think that's just if you do what you love, you never have to
Yeah.
in your life.
And I think, you know what you just said, something that's so important. There's so much pressure put on 16, 17-year-olds to what do you want to do. You might not work that out till you're 35. It's like the pressure to go to uni if that's like, you've got the grades, there's the expectation, you've got the smarts, you've got the grades, you've got the, you need to go. And there's so much pressure put on young people. And it's almost like your grades don't define you. What you do in those first few years don't define you. And you are both examples of doing something that you love. And that makes life so much easier because, if you're in a job that you hate, when that alarm goes off in the morning, you don't want to be there an hour earlier. So it's like, find your passion, find what you love. And if you don't know that it looks like it's a job as such as a lifeguarding, you might like reading, you might like writing, you might like working with numbers, you might like working in a desk, you might hate working at a desk. There's all these little things that give you signs that, write things down. It's I think that's such an important lesson because 16 years old, seriously, you've got a million things you can try and you can always change.
And even the better thing too, at school, I didn't really necessarily like history or, languages or math. But, as you get older, like I kind of like some of those things. I like learning about history. I like doing some math, Sudoku and stuff like that. Like, you're constantly evolving and changing. So, find your passion. You might want to do something when you're in your 20s, but then when you get your 30s, you might have a completely different outlook on life and you can follow your passion.
I was like you, Harrison. I went to school for hockey and netball. I'd forget my books, but you bet I'd never forget my hockey kit or my netball kit. It's like school's really tough, and we say it all the time at Live, Learn, Survive. And when I did the speech, I spoke about it. It's very difficult because an education system tries to be a one size fits all, and we're all so different. And there's jobs coming out now that weren't even on the radar 10 years ago. And the jobs that 16-year-olds will have in 10 years' time aren't even invented yet.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing I do think is now, like, I look back on my school and I'm like, you know what? I do kind of take that for granted. Like, because I wish I applied myself a bit more. And as I said, but hindsight's an amazing thing. But, little thing is like that you forget is school's so easy. You get dropped off, you bike to school and then you're with your friends every day, and then when you leave, you're like, oh, you're in the real world now, so, it is a good time, school. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, brilliant wisdom in there, Harrison. Thank you.
When you're in the jungle, we did catch up with KB and Kevin. And this next question, I remember having a good chat with Kevin and your dad, and he gave me some good advice with some one-worded, sayings and stuff like that. But what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, and how has it shaped you? Doesn't have to be from your dad, but it's I just like that sort of, is someone giving you good advice, and how has it shaped you to who you are now?
The ones that Dad drilled into me was always be humble. I think just, there's always someone bigger and better, and the taller you are, the harder you fall. And there's so just, and I think I've taken that back into kind of like lifeguarding as well. There's some when I came to that job, it's just be a sponge and take all the information you can, because there's some great people around us. A big one for me is as well, it's like just treat other people how you want to be treated, and which I think is a big one. I think through lifeguarding, I think I've really lent into that one. Reason being is because we deal with all sorts of things down there, as and it's quite interesting. It was a friend of ours that we know, who's a police officer, is he said it's a great thing is one of someone's had like a bad scenario that happens to someone could be completely different, could be nothing to someone that it's completely different to something that happened to another person. But everyone's different, and that's why you need to treat them differently. And so, for example, someone's lost their car, you can't remember where they parked it. For us, that's nothing because we're dealing with, people drowning, but that could be the worst thing that could happen to those, that person. And then so I'll treat them the same as if someone's drowning. And then the reason why I enjoy that, treat other people how you want to be treated is because if that was my parents or my loved ones and they're in that situation, I hope there was someone like me that can help them out in that situation if they're overseas and whatnot.
Absolutely. You know what? You've just said something that reminds me of you moved overseas to find your passion. Me the same, and you can't always be there when it's your family or something. And exactly that, Harrison. You think your mom or your dad or my relatives or one of my best friends. You think you're not on the end of that phone. Somebody will be there, and you hope that they get treated how you would want to be treated. That's and you're right. To one person, missing a train could be another person's, literally worst day. And you don't know what people are going through, and that might just be the thing on the day that escalates it. Yeah, exactly. Brilliant. So, the most high stress moment of your career so far. Not the most high stress of the jungle, and we'll come to that shortly with the rice and beans. High stress moment of your career so far, and how do you handle that stress?
I think, I don't know, Maxi. It'd be interesting. Like I think it's for us. It's the jobs where we get the phone calls. I think like you get a phone call. You might be. We used to have a phone called the bat phone. Which is like we used to have two phone lines. So one was just like a general one, and the other phone was for emergencies. And it had a certain, ring to it, like that. That it had that, that alarm. It goes burr, 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 and when you get that, like all of a sudden, everything's heightened.
What do you say? Is that when you go, Maxi? We're on. We're on here. We're on here.
Even the bat phone goes, it's either a jet ski job or someone up in the park. It's usually something that's not really what you can see in front of you. It's something that's either around the rocks or around the corner or up on the road or up in the park.
Right.
So it's usually when 13 Surf ring you or the police ring you.
Yeah.
You're on.
And every time that went, you're like, all right, it's a good job here. And it's majority of the time it was a jet ski job. Yeah. Which is like, it's you get the job, someone's on the phone call, and then they'll look around at you, then like be police, and they just nod and point to the life jackets, meaning, all right, get suited up for the jet ski. And I think which you love, like, we're in there, all right, we're on here, this is proper. Because when it's a jet ski job, it's life and death, and it's something that seconds can count. And it's the ones where it's big surf. And it's normally big surf, it's normally always raining, we get those ones. And yet back of your mind, it's a rock fisherman, I think. Yeah. And when you do get a call to a rock fisherman, you don't know if they're wearing a life jacket or not. It's big surf, they've been washed off. So seconds do count, but it also takes a while to find them because we can cover, Bondi over to Clove Valley, but then we've got a big stretch Bondi up to South Head around the heads of the harbour. Yeah. That could take us sometimes 20 minutes, half an hour to get up there if it's pretty big.
Depends on the winds.
And, we know it can take 20 seconds to someone, for someone to drown. So I think when you're getting suited up, you're getting information from the police or 13 Surf. We're kind of looking at the map. All right, who's the informant? When they phone from? What are the crossroads? Trying to work out roughly where this person can be. What's the surf doing? If we've got a big south swell or northeast swell, he could be another kilometre by the time we get there. So you try and work that out, and then putting the ski in. And for that, it's like, your adrenaline's pumping, but also controlling that adrenaline because, you got to go slow. You don't want to miss anything. You want to make sure everything's right. I think there was one where it was the surf was massive and we had to go down to the north corner to get out on the jet ski. It's how big it was. and we were punching with one of the guys, and I remember we went down, and the jet ski was like a submarine off the back of this wave. It submerged. We both went underwater, and it was with one of the boys, Jess, and he came back up, and I was on the back, and his head went back because the water slapped him. My tooth went into the back of his head, like that's how, and split him. And we got all the way there, and for some known reason, we just happened to come across this guy, and he had this homemade life jacket, and we just saw his head, but his eyes were closed, so I thought he was dead. So I jumped off the mat and grabbed him, and then knowing that he was dead, then his eyes opened like that, and then it scared the shit out of me. I think I might have, screamed, but it was also a good thing as well. It's got to the stage where he probably just given up. And the surf was so rough. It was huge, the swells, and you got the swells when you got the backwash from the rocks as well. And there was so much going on, and we didn't realise at this stage, while I was in the back of the mat with him, we had the chopper had arrived. We didn't even realise that the chopper had abseiled some, down. And next minute, I'm just seeing this guy with a full snorkel, like Scuba Steve on, mouth on, hooked up to the chopper, and he just goes, handed the guy over to me, and I just went, threw him over, strapped him in, and he just gave me a nod. It was like something out of like the Guardian, the Coast Guard movie, and just gave me a nod and just got winched up. And that those ones are pretty cool. And I think they're the ones that your adrenaline's pumping. It's seconds do count.
Yeah.
And adding on to that, the stressful, the blood's pumping. How do you deal with your stress?
Yeah, I'm going to say you get back on the beach, and then how do you process and deal with that you're
even on your days off too? Like, how do you deal with stressful situations?
I used to kind of embrace that adrenaline. I think when I was younger, you kind of got back on the beach and you kind of pumped. You've done that, and the adrenaline's still going. I didn't really. And you still pump, you're still wired after a big day when you get home, and it's strange. And I used to kind of enjoy that till it got to a stage, and I realised, whoa, this is actually no good because it does take a toll on the body. And it's only recently till we started doing those an induction with Alan, who I know has been here.
Yes, well, Alan, what an incredible chat we had with Alan Sparks.
Alan. And it was great, and then just the breathing, just that box breathing, and
was it 4 seconds up, 4 seconds hold,
4 flat, 4 out. That's what I do if I'm in a turbulent flight.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, that's what I can kind of do, after a big day, gather my, sort my breath out, and then I'll just. It's
amazing how it calms your nervous system, isn't it? When you just slow your breathing or focus on it.
Yeah, and then I even found that was great for me in the jungle.
Yeah,
which we'll touch on later, but that's something I took out of it, and I actually told other mates, and they were using it too, and they found it worked.
Which the next question, we're going into the jungle, but just quickly, I do want to add that me and you, we work together, we used to live together. But in the last probably 6 to 8 months, we started training most days together again down at Rose Bay.
Yeah.
For me, I have stressful days, and training and seeing you and a few of the other regular guys helps me de-stress. But do you reckon training de-stresses you as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think and for me,
I know you go for walks too.
Yeah, but for me, I find which helps is a routine. And it's hard because as I'm the same as Maxi, I'm a casual lifeguard, so I don't have set days. I might do 7 days in a row. I might do 1 day a week. It just depends. And I think for me, having that routine keeps me somewhat sane. Before I went overseas, I did the 5 a.m. every morning, and I knew. And for me, it was just, I felt better that I did that. And then I also we go for our walks. And just breaking that up, and you just switch off from life for a minute. You rock up, someone tells you what you have to do, you get put in the hurt locker, and you don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
And you come out feeling so good. You'll have a swim, and it's great. And there's like-minded people there, and you might not feel like training, and that's why I do the 5 a.m. because when my life off, I don't have to think about it. I just smile at half asleep, get there, then I get there, I'm like, what am I doing here? Where for me, I can't train in the afternoon because I
Me
know.
neither. I'm like, I have to be out, you know, straight in. I've been walking a bit. I've been, my back's been playing up a bit. So I've just been walking with podcasts and I've actually loved it. Really loved it. I'm walking a bit further because I don't even realize I'm walking because I'm interested in what I'm listening to. But I'm the same, up, straight out, because then the monkey's off my back. You know, you have got no hope of me doing anything at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
I am like, you know, like I'll be out at 5 o'clock every day of the week. And it does set you up for the day, I reckon. It really, if you can do it, not everyone can be a morning person, but if you can do it, it's so good. For like just clarity of the day as well. It really does just get your mind in the right space.
Definitely.
You know, brilliant.
We are going to the jungle side of the chat. I know there's probably a few people out there that are curious to hear about your experiences and about the jungle. But first things first, you picked Live, Learn, Survive as your charity on I'm a Celebrity AU. What made it so meaningful for you?
For me, picking Live, Learn, Survive was a no-brainer. I think from the work that we do, we can understand how, you know, children can be very, you know, helpless. It's very, you know, like the way I look at it, and this might sound a bit ridiculous, but, you know, when we rescue someone that's hung their towel on one of our dangerous current signs, you know, thinking they're bigger and better than they are, and they get into trouble, you know, you see like, mate, what an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
but, and you know, because these older people, you know, they know the difference between right and wrong. Like they can help themselves, but they chose to make that decision. And for me, I'm like, you're an idiot. But for children, they don't know a lot of these things. And I think what you guys are doing is, you know, preparing people for their worst days. And that's what I said to people in the jungle. Like it's, you actually don't, like we for some reason at Bondi, stuff happens all the time. We don't know why.
Yeah.
Hence why they made a TV show out of it, because people, you just can't believe it happens down there. But a lot of people go throughout their life without, you know, a lot of bad things happening, you know, like, but when it does happen, I tell you what, like it happens quickly. And, you know, we know people, you can do a first aid course and that can still go out the window, everything you learned in there. And we're lucky, we do this stuff every day. It's muscle memory for us. So I think it's important for especially kids to understand, you know, life's not perfect. There are going to be some things happen. Like you might be driving, you come across a car accident, or, you know, your friend cuts their finger, or, you know, like, you know, around the community, you know, here in Australia, there's bushfires, there's, you know, natural disasters. That's like me in New Zealand. Like I was lifeguarding, you know, and, you know, I used to do, you know, CPR first aid, but chuck an earthquake in there. And, you know, I think that's one thing when I was lifeguarding when I was younger, you know, to like, this is what we need to get done. You know, you kind of have to think on your toes. And I just, from seeing what I've seen, I just want to make sure that kids are ready. A big one for me, which I did say to the others in the jungle, was it's very intimidating to call triple O or the emergency service number from wherever in the world you are. It's even when you're in the tower and you call triple O, like, all right, yeah, and they go, police, fire, ambulance. And it's about getting that information right.
Yes.
And that's daunting for kids. And for me, thinking that, you know, if God forbid something happened to, you know, one of their family members and they've, you know, and they can't make that call, it's going to be the kids to make that call. And seriously, that can save a life.
Absolutely.
And we know it firsthand when we get a call and we don't know where they are, we haven't got a good location. That can, you know, that could add an extra 20 minutes, you know, half an hour from, you know, police to get there. We saw it one time when we were, it was after hours, we'd just finished, and then I think we might have been having a drink across the road, and the police started rocking up, ambos, everything. We ran across the road and we spoke to the police. They go, someone's just been pulled from the water. And we're like, mate, like, there's no one down here. Like, we haven't seen anything. And they're like, yeah, we've got the call. And then the choppers rocked up. And then anyway, what we found out, there was a place up or down the coast, sounded like Bondi, but it's like Bondi or something. And they got it mixed up and they weren't clear about it. So they pulled someone out of the water from here, but then they made it sound like Bondi. And they've all got there. So I think that's just one thing I think that, it's a great thing for kids to have.
Well, cross streets and that as well. Knowing your cross streets, knowing your suburbs. You could always say in schools, you've got a place called Pacific Beach. It could be 5 kilometres long. You say Pacific Beach, there's a chance that they might send the emergency service to the wrong part of the beach. So learning information science, knowing the exact locations, using smartphones if kids have access to them. And so
I met a guy on Friday at a lunch, and I was saying what we did, and he got like little kids, and he said, what do you do? And I said, well, we teach kids simple skills to survive, their worst day. And he goes, oh my life, he goes, I send my kids to school in the morning. I can get them to school. I can do that. He goes, my biggest thing is, are they all right getting home? I'm at work, the day gets busy. And I said, well, something like as simple as they probably know to ring 000. Do they know what they're going to be asked? And do they know where they are?
Yeah.
If they just know what they might be asked and they can give a location, if they don't remember any of the rest of it, that second count, that might just be enough. So this guy was like, oh, give me your number. And this guy works in a really good marketing opportunity. And he told me what he did. And I actually said to him, look, I'm a terrible client for you because I'm a charity and we want everything for free. And he said, well, I've got this huge billboard that's visible for 110,000 people a day. And he goes, I give stuff to people like you for free. And I was like, right, wait, let's get me a number, So, it's like, as a parent, that would be your worst nightmare, that they are on their own and they don't know what to do. And that's
a big one that I did say in camp as well, when I taught them through like some basic CPR. And it's also not, for me, not putting pressure on kids. It's just one thing I like is like doing something is better than doing nothing, and we've seen that when I forgot the story, but along the lines of a brother found his other brother face down in the pool. And because he had seen Bondi Rescue, he'd never done a first aid course before.
He was up and down or something.
Yeah, he just needed to know, had to pump on the chest. And he did that, and he ended up saving his brother's life, And imagine, and that was just through watching Bondi Rescue.
Yeah.
But for people that haven't watched that and haven't done a first aid course and just doing nothing, and then you'll have to live with that for the rest of your life, So that's why.
Yeah. Even with like in schools with the resource dummy, just teaching kids to clap to the beat, they might just remember that beat. You don't know what bit of information they're going to remember. And, it's like you never know when it might, just come in handy, because we met a family in England, 15-year-old lad, really lovely lad, really hot day in England, which quite unusual, went straight into the sea and ended up drowning underneath the pier. Just a 15-year-old that just did not know what to do in that moment, to just, even what you say, watch the water, like literally hot day, went straight in. So no, absolutely. You know what, Harrison, and I said it when I rang you when you came out, I like, thank you, because what you did for us with the awareness, just follow us. We got some donations. People now know about us that didn't know about us before. Honestly, it was just, so grateful. So people will want to know a bit about this jungle. What was the most unexpected or shocking part about it? And to quote you, are you kidding me?
I think the funny thing was me going into there, like I knew it was going to be tough. The things that I thought was going to be tough, I actually found a bit easier. The things I thought was going to be easy, I really struggled with, which is quite a funny way to do it. one of the ones was I was really nervous about my sleep going in there. I mean,
Yeah.
I've got a great bed. I sleep well at night, no issues. But going into like a single small canvas stretcher in the jungle, for someone that hates insects, spiders and snakes and no protection, I'm like, going to really struggle with this. But I've never slept so good in my life. It was strange.
Really?
They call that the circadian rhythm, where when you're in there, you don't have your phone with you. So they take your phone off you. You're not sitting there. You're not scrolling, and then you go to sleep when the sun goes down. Your body automatically does that, and you just listen to the sounds of the animals and insects, which is very cool. And it took me, like, jet lag aside, a bit of time to recover and getting back to sleep normally here. The other thing which I love, like, I love being around people.
Yeah.
And, the campmates I was with, they were great people. But then for me, I still need my downtime, and I didn't really think about that. And since you're in a confined area, you just didn't get your downtime.
Yeah.
You did say that you're the only person, which they didn't show much of it. Every day you went for a swim at the waterfall.
Yeah.
Matt, you're the only person that did.
It's Maddie and I, and we're like, we're never going to turn down a waterfall trip. It's a walk, 200 meters, 300 meters to the waterfall, have a quick swim, and they're depleting you of food there. We're only getting 800 calories a day unless we won the challenges. So, we had about a few spoonfuls of oats in the morning, rice and beans for lunch, and then hopefully, a meal at night.
Yeah.
So you are like exhausted, and you had to walk around for safety these steel cap boots because of all the snakes and whatnot. And like we'll walk up for the Tok, which is where we did the interview, and it was like 8 flights of steps to get in there. And I was like huffing and puffing in there. Just
really, 8 flights of stairs to get. Is it up the top?
Oh yeah, stairs like just on the slope kind of thing.
Wow.
And I was,
because it kind of seems it's like
up 3 steps. Yeah, it looks like it's just away to the left. Yeah.
When Max was screaming and yelling with the bugs and stuff that are in there.
Yeah.
You got like there was.
There's 2 Tokis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's one there and one there. And
okay.
When Max was yelling, it was in the one down below, and we thought.
I've seen you that face. I've seen way too many times. You're on, right? And you moved the way you moved. You're out of it. But yeah, man, that's cool. I've had luckily to have a couple of chats with you while we've been training and after for coffee and stuff like that. But
so I suppose going down to that waterfall was like your. Sorry, Maxi, I butted in then. I didn't mean to butt in.
I was going to say, hearing some of the stories that Harrison said, talking about the waterfall and de-stressing and stuff like that, I didn't realise that you had a good sleeps and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and the waterfall was fun because the canopy of the jungle is so thick. You didn't see it. When we were there, it's like 40 degrees. And then, it's so hot. And the whole time, so I was in there for 27 days in the camp, and all you have is warm water. The water's warm, and then but you have to get it down you. And after about 4 days, you're over it. But you have it's very important. But then you don't get any sun because of the canopy. So when you go to the waterfall and there was sun, it would honestly, and Husey was funny because he was like the guru. When you vitamin D for 20 minutes, half an hour, it made me feel so much better and happier.
Yes.
Yeah, we like said a few times, people are hyping up about your tan. Like we all know that you love the sun and you're out in the outdoors. But I think Max or someone ripped into you about being still tanned or something.
Fake tan, yeah.
But I reckon if you've got all of that, the people and the chatter and, because probably, the only time it was completely quiet is when everyone's gone to sleep. Yeah. So if you're able to go to the waterfall, even just float and have your head underwater or something, just have a bit of silence.
Yeah.
I know that would be important to me because I'm a really social person, but I need to have my retreat because that's how I refuel.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's really, really hard. That's interesting. So anything else that you thought was going to be easy that was really hard?
No, I honestly took this approach as I'm scared of everything, by the way. Walking around with friends in New Zealand and I can't even hold a fish. So I'm like, it's just so slippery and slimy. And we caught a fish. This is like seriously 5 days before I went in. And I went to hold it and it just wiggled and I just dropped it and the fish fell in the water and pretty much shit myself. And they thought it was the funniest thing. They're like, you go into the jungle, you can't even hold a fish. And I'm like, it was that realization, like, oh, like I'm in the deep end here. This is not good. But then, you know, first day going in there, I got bitten by a snake 5 times, you know, like, and having that. But it was amazing because it's when you're in that situation where you have to do well, so your campmates that, you know, campmates have to eat. Where if that was just for me, I'll be like, screw this, I'm out. But when you're the ship and you got to, you know, get food for the camp, it's like, it's funny. You find another gear, which is pretty cool. And, you know, having to put your hand back in there, knowing there's a snake in there, you've been bitten before, like the mental games that get played in your head are horrible. And then, like, my next time I went on a trial, which was on this train, and they had those hidey hole boxes there as well. Then
the lions.
I put my hand in there, I got bitten, and then no one had to do it again. It's just, it takes its toll big time.
Yeah. Look, literally, you were like incredible. That I don't think I've ever seen anyone enter the jungle and get bit like that. Like, literally, that was just what a welcome. Like, that snake, literally, like, insane. You next, Maxi, number 8.
Yeah, so what's something the cameras didn't show that the fans would love to know?
That you're able to tell us, probably.
Tell us,
I think for us, it's like, we're in there for a long time, and there's also a lot of downtime. I mean, if you're not going on a trial, you're there. You know, you might go on a trial every 3 or 4 days. You don't know when you're going to go, and the downtime was massive. And it was just having to rely on your campmates to keep you occupied. Otherwise, it's a long day in there, but it's also as well conserving your energy. Like, we kind of went in there the first 1 or 2 days, had like this gym set up. Like, we'll have a train, the guys, you know, like, you're in there with, you know, a couple of footy players, you try and, you know, prove that, you know, your worthiness. Then after, like, day 3, you're like, I cannot go in there. Like, because you're so exhausted, you've got nothing in the tank.
You got no protein to, you know, you haven't got the strength to do it.
Yeah, and the other thing is like, which they don't understand is how you're feeling as well.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand. They kind of, you watch someone, they're like, oh, why are they upset? It's not that bad and all that. But you get depleted of everything. So you're, you know, a lot of the guys who drink coffee, you know, they come off caffeine. For me, sugar, like, you know, it was amazing coming off sugar and the lows that you hit. Day 4, I was in such a dark place. I was getting ready to, I was like, I'd already told myself that I was leaving tomorrow, day 5. You know, it was so tough. Then day 5, I woke up and I was a bit better. It was just, what your body does is amazing. And then, like only reason why I train is so I can eat whatever I want. Like, I love my food, as Maxi will vouch for. And pre-jungle, give me a packet of Tim Tams. I could probably, you know, polish off the whole packet, you know, and not even touch the sides. But being off sugar for 2.5 weeks and having one single Tim Tam, I can't even explain the feeling it was like. Just like, it was ridiculous. And I think, you know, and then, you know, you're hungry and you go to these trials. It's a mind games, and people don't really know, you know, like, how you're actually feeling it, and it takes its toll. And the other thing I would probably say as well is, you know, is the smells. When they watch you on TV, they cannot smell the smells. But, like, for example, every morning we had to change the long drops over, and the toilet stunk, and then also the food challenges. Oh my God! Like, when you rock up there, by the time you get there, you're blindfolded the whole time, so you don't know where you are. When you leave camp, you get blindfolded.
Really? Okay.
And then, so that really screws with your head as well. And then you rock up to the set, and all you can do is just smell everything, and it smells disgusting. And the flies are all around you, and you walk in there, and you're looking at this food, and you try and tell yourself, I can do this, or try and relate it to another food. Like, you know, the testicle, you're like, oh, it's a meatball. The goat's anus looks like calamari. I'm having calamari. But the smell, I'd have that Norwegian delicacy, that drink. It was like that fish herring blended up, and you see the eyeballs and having to drink that. But the smell was 10 times worse than actually, you know, seeing it. So I think that was a big one for me.
There you go.
I can't even begin to imagine, Harrison. I just can't begin. So that all said, did you go in with a strategy or did you just go, I'm going to go with the flow?
Yeah, my goal was to. I've never really been out of my comfort zone,
Right.
and this opportunity came up, and it's funny. Like we've had chats in the towers on those rainy days, and we talk a lot of rubbish. And they're like, if you go any reality TV show, what would it be? And then it was always my one was to go on that show, like because I've never been out of my comfort zone. I wouldn't go on anyone like alone when they drop you off in the wilderness. Like that's a bit too aggressive. But yeah, I think I just wanted to challenge myself, and if I was going to do it, if there's a camera in front of you, you really got to step up now.
Crack,
Yeah.
Crack. And yeah, I think that was it. I was fortunate enough to get that opportunity, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm not here to prove myself.
Yeah.
I think it got to like day 12, and I said to myself, if I got eliminated now, I'm happy. Like obviously, I'd love to get to the end and win. You know the money for you guys.
Oh, we weren't letting you out quickly, Harrison. We Maxi jumped out of every bush in Sydney that he could find, and
that's the thing they showed me when I got out of the jungle too. The thing kind of gave me a rundown of what's been happening because I've been outside world.
I think
I love that. That was their favourite.
Yeah, and I think they, I think we got a bit of respect, Maxi, didn't we, for our little effort of Live, Learn, Survive, because we knew we were small, but we were going to be fighting well above our weight of like, you know, I'd got the ironing board out and the sheets, and I was just like, because I know my mates know that I'm an idiot, and they'd be laughing at me, and I'm like, I don't laugh at me, but vote for Harrison, please. You know, it was like, it was so much. We were not letting you out soon. Yeah. There was no way that was happening.
It was good, but on that for me, it was just like, I think it was like day 14. I'm like, like I was actually sitting there, and I'm like, pretty proud of myself what I've done. Like there's no way I thought I could do those things, you know, and I honestly I came out of there and achieved what I wanted to achieve, which is pretty cool.
Amazing, mate.
Look, you can catch up with Robert Irwin and ask him how many snakes have bitten him. And and then you've got that story for the dinner party for the rest of your life, Harrison. That's like you will always have that story at a party. So brilliant.
About Rob as well, because so many snakes there, and Robert deals with snakes all around the world. But I think like I was part of that where they had to get the actual snake catch them from South Africa, because a green snake in Australia is a tree snake, and they're the most harmful ones. But a green snake in Africa is one of the most venomous ones. Like a brown snake in Australia is our worst snake.
Yeah.
Where a brown snake in Africa is fine. I remember the first day I arrived, I had like 3 days in holding. I was staying there, and they took the phone off me, and we were at this the accommodation where they're holding me at. They had the Channel 10 guy to come and shoot some stuff for their socials. And he goes, look, we'll just go to the bush on the side here and just get some things. I'm like, yep, sweet. And I remember looking down and seeing this bunch of rocks going, I mean, that'd be a perfect place for a snake to hang out.
Yeah.
And I looked up, and in the tree next to me, like not even half a meter away, was the snake hanging on a branch just looking at me. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, you kind of caught me off guard. And the guy filming hated snakes. He goes, we're getting out of here. Let's go. And I had a chaperone stay with me as well. So everywhere I went, she had to go. It was I went back, and I was talking to her about what I'd seen. I saw a snake. She said, oh, which one was it? I'm like, oh, it's kind of darker color. It had this white line going down the side all the way. She goes, oh my God, that's one of our most venomous snakes. And I'm like, all right, I'm in the jungle now. This is probably
here is my welcome.
Yeah.
But I you kind of think, there would be a whole crew. They wouldn't surely expect Robert Irwin to be picking every snake. But he's a handy bloke to have around, isn't he? He's like, what a legend.
Legend. Robert was the biggest legend, and Julia. Like, when you go to trials, which is bloody daunting, but they were there and they put a smile on your face and just took your mind off, whatever we were doing for a second, and had a lot of time.
I actually think they are brilliant, a brilliant duo. I think Robert Irwin is going to be a mega star of the future. You forget he's literally only 21, isn't he?
Yeah, 21, 22. He's so young, and then
insane.
I obviously watched his dad, Steve, younger, growing up, and loved him. He was, it was a religion of mine to watch every crocodile hunter show. And then I remember I was doing my second trial, and we'd finish. I kind of looked around and I saw Terry Irwin get into the car. So she was there the whole time watching as well for the whole period. I remember when I left, I saw her, I just gave her the biggest hug. I'm just like, it was weird because you watch these people so, when you grow up on TV. So it was pretty special seeing those.
Maxi and I had an appointment about 2 years ago. You might not remember, Maxi. We were in the lobby of Queensland Parliament. And remember Terry and Bindi were talking to some people behind us. And I was like, oh, when you want to just say hello and just say hello. And then you just think that's not cool. Leave them be. They're in a meeting. You know what I mean? But I think they're an incredible family. And Australia Zoo is a massive, massive, they've just opened up the Crocodile Hunter Lodge next to it. I've actually been a drive-by and seen it because it's only about an hour away from me. And it's that zoo is just phenomenal. And, just massive respect for all of them. Brilliant.
Mate, on to the next question. Who is the biggest legend in the jungle and why?
Look, everyone was great. And, the way, I spoke about earlier about the lifeguards being like a footy team. Everyone brings your own little bit of magic to the team. Sam Thaiday was, for me, one of the biggest legends, just because, he was so selfless. He helped everyone. He was like the cat dad, and, nothing fazed him in there. But then, I got on really well with Matty J. We had a lot of fun. He's a familiar face from, Bondi. Husey as well. He just made us laugh. And it was great to have someone like that when you go through those dark days, and someone just to brighten the mood. But everyone was good. Everyone's different. Everyone helped out, which was great.
Yeah. It seemed a really nice bunch.
Yeah, and that's why it was so emotional when the eliminations happened, because the family slowly started to go ripped apart.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How quickly you form a bond, and then you're like, it's as humans, we're all about connections and people, and how quickly you do form that bond, and it's like you can't imagine them leaving.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, what did you miss the most? You probably kind of covered this, so don't stress too much.
Food. Oh, food, and probably family and friends as well. I think that was a big one for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know how much you love your food. I love my food too, but the fact that you're surviving off rice and beans every day. Amazing effort.
Exactly. When we did win some trials, it was good. I think there was one day in there towards the end we won some McDonald's. And it was funny because, the burger was good, but I tell you what, after drinking water for 3 weeks, warm water, having a cold Coke with ice, I can't even describe that sensation of that going down your throat. It was just so nice.
Yeah, a cool drink. Yeah.
And, we did win some good food. We won some steaks and all that, but on the ones we won this chicken, there was no meat in it whatsoever. So you only got a bit of square and it was a big
Never a dull moment, mate. Never a dull
moment. Brutal.
I know you're really close to your family, but this is probably part of your answer. But how do you feel about no contact from the outside world and not having your phone?
It's tough because your phone's a big part of your life now, isn't it? It's weird, you set an alarm in the morning, you look at it, and then you go off. Through. And the first 3 or 4 days, I remember waking up and you're on this horrible stretcher, and you automatically start doing those ones around your left. You stuck up, where's my phone? I don't have it here with me, which is quite funny. And then after coming up to a week, you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
And for me, there's a few things that I'm taking from the jungle back to I call the real world, is like this thing now does my head in.
Yeah.
Like I hate my phone.
Yeah.
I now have my notifications turned off unless I get a text message or a phone call. I used to think going into it like, for example, on Instagram, like I've got to have it on in case someone wants to get in touch with me. Then I end up scrolling just to wasting time. One thing I learned coming out of the jungle, I got my phone. Nothing bad had happened. It's still there. I'm eventually going to get back to people. But if someone really needs to get to me, something major, they're going to ring.
Text.
So I think there was one thing, and like it's, the amount of times I look at your phone and just, I know it sounds really cliche because I've heard it before, and they go, I want to be present, I want to be in the moment. I just, go, shut up. But it kind of makes a lot of sense. So I think that was a big one for me.
I think that is like, and that was one of the things when I rang you, I was really curious to know. And I've moved some of what I call the prime suspects, Instagram, doom scrolling. I've moved them off the front page of my phone.
Yeah.
And I've put notifications off because I don't have alerts or anything, but the badge where you can know there's a message. Yeah. And I've put some of the notifications off because if you see a number on that, you're clicking on it. There's no way, that you're clicking on it. And it's interesting how it's made me stop. And what you said, Harrison, as well, I know if it's urgent, text me. If it's urgent enough, someone's got my phone number, so text me. Even if WhatsApp, I might not have looked at WhatsApp for hours. If it's urgent, text or ring me. And if not, I'll pick it up when I pick it up. And I think if younger people listening take one thing from you is that you are going to adopt different habits, because I think screen time and phones are an addiction. And if you can, it wasn't a thing when I was a kid. As a teenager, it just didn't happen. It wasn't even around, but I think if that's one thing, just don't let it rule you. You rule it.
Yeah. And a big one for me was the news. Yeah. Like, I don't watch the news at night, but I always look at the news websites.
Yeah.
And then being cut off from the outside world. Like, the thing that I learned coming out, the amount of news stories that I miss, but the world's still going to go around, and just how depressing the news is. It is, for me, it's just like, I just don't look at it now.
Bliss,
I just worry about what I'm doing. If something does affect me, I'll probably eventually find out. But I think that was a big one for me as well.
No, because it does. It gets you in a mindset, and it's just not healthy. So brilliant. I think it's appropriate I ask this one, Maxi. If you could bring one Bondi lifeguard into the jungle with you, who would it be, and how do you think they'd handle it? No pressure that you have to say the bloke next to you, but I think I would love to know how you think he would handle it. But who would you take in, and how do you think they'd handle it?
I'll probably go. I'd love to see Maxi in there, because I thought, he loves, you do those runs, you've been doing those challenges, and I think he'll enjoy just being in those situations, which would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think he'll be a great asset to camp as well, because you know how to have a laugh. It's a good time, but it's a good thing about being in camp is stories, and it does help people. It kills time. I think from the fireys, the lifeguards, there's a lot of things you can talk about, and it does help. I think Maxi will be good in there. I'd love to see Will Bigelow in there though. I think we're just a big unit on that single canvas.
If
we could hold him, to see him, because I know he gets grumpy, and then him getting no sleep would be pretty funny to see.
I would love to watch Maxi for 4 weeks with no coffee. That'd be like...
Exactly. And also, just the food and all that.
Actually, just one question with that. Thinking about it, you talked about Sam Friday. So you've got someone like Sam Friday, and then you've got Reggie. Rice and beans. Is it the same portion?
Same portion.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, hey?
Wow. I'm glad that I just thought of that, because I thought, is it proportion on, like, you've got elite athlete to, compare it to, someone who's not. And Shayna Jack struggled, didn't she, with that, the lack of food. Interesting. Yeah. Alrighty. Next one, you, Maxi.
Well, thanks for the insight of the jungle, mate. It sounds like you had an amazing time. It was great to watch you all those weeks.
Absolutely.
Moving into the next question, changing away from the jungle, is when you are not saving lives, what are some of your hobbies?
I think it's actually gone away from the beach, but I do love having a swim if it's a nice day. I think you'll be the same. If I go to the beach my day off, I can't go to any of the coastal beaches.
Yeah.
I go to the harbour beaches where there's no waves, because it's summer. I just can't switch off. You're always watching the water or watching the rips. So we go, like, if I go to Camp Cove, Nielsen Park, I can honestly just relax and enjoy the beach.
From there, face east.
Yeah, face east, everywhere. But so I think that's a big one for me. There's also, if in the busy period, there's nothing better than your day off, and it might be 30 degrees outside, hot and sunny. But I tell you what, it's just nice just to close the blinds, bit of aircon, bit of telly, just to really just distract the mind. Big one for me is obviously training, get a session in. I love going for my walks. I love some good food, go and, suss something out, catch up with a mate. I'm not good at golf, but I love it. So maybe even that as well. But nice. I think just to enjoy those things.
Happy days.
Brilliant. Where are we now? So,
15.
Yeah. Do you have a big career goal? And what's next for Harrison? Anything that you're working towards?
Yeah, not sure yet. I mean, there is, probably have to, next chapter of my life. And I haven't really thought about that. I honestly wanted to think about that going into the jungle. And I thought I would come up with everything with the amount of time, and thought about nothing. Even though I had so much downtime, I think it was just like a matter of survival. And it's something, like, obviously I'm not full-time on the beach. I'm a casual, and, there is another job out there for me. I'm not sure what I'm going to get into just yet. But I'm excited to keep pushing that idea. And, it's great.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? You think you've got all that time in the world, and it's like going to be, big life decisions, and then you find out, actually, I've got the energy for big life decisions. that can wait till I can get back to normality. Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, we're towards the back end of the podcast. It's been, I told you, it's half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah. I know. Sorry, Harrison. We love a chat.
Goes quick. 15. But last two questions, mate. If you weren't a lifeguard ever, if you never got into lifeguarding, what do you reckon you would have done instead?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's
you do have an appreciation for emergency services.
Yes.
Not that if you're going to do that, but I do know that you like to stay on the beat with things that are going around the area and some of the stories that I can tell you. But answer the question. What do you think?
I don't know. My family have sell furniture. So before I, went in, I was helping out with, like, delivering beds and all that.
Yeah.
So if I didn't leave New Zealand, I think I'd probably end up doing that. There's a part of me that, wanted to be, either in the police or the Ambos at one stage. In hindsight now, like, seeing what they go through, like, I couldn't do their job. I've got a lot of respect for those people in the Far East.
You actually mentioned it on the show, talking about the paramedics and the police, what they have to deal with from day to day.
And people don't know what they deal with, the shit they have to put up with. And for what they get paid, it's just like they are the unsung heroes and all that. So, it's I'd probably still be in Christchurch, and I wouldn't have this, this amazing chapter of my life, that I've been so thankful to have, and all these stories and things that I've done. So, I'm very lucky how this has turned out for me.
Yeah, brilliant. And, when I was down in Bondi, I actually had the pleasure of having a coffee with your mum and dad. Your dad was hilarious, telling us all the stories that you weren't there to defend yourself. We did have a really good catch up with them. And we were I was so thrilled that your mum was able to get over and share some of the experience with you, because she hadn't been to South Africa, had she? And,
it's a nice surprise seeing her there. And
what was that like? So just tell me what it was like when you realised your mum was there. Where did you see her?
Back where we had the accommodation when they held us, and we didn't know they were going to be there.
Yeah.
And, I walked in. I think it was a very overwhelming emotions leaving, coming to the real world, like you're excited. I mean, seeing her was great, and we had the best 4 days. We were doing, we were going on safaris, looking at lions, elephants, lionesses, and
so cool.
Having food. And it was just, it was good to have that experience there with her. So it was great.
Absolutely, because I think you were eliminated almost within the hour of your mum landing.
Yeah.
It was.
The poor thing was probably, a bit of a whirlwind to get all the way over there, and then I was just keen to do as many things as I could before I left. And I think we were just we were running on adrenaline.
Yeah, well, your mum also has the best story for parties now, because she can talk about the 3 days she went on safari in South Africa. So that was amazing. And Harrison, when I rang you the other day, just again, Live, Learn, Survive, we are so grateful for what we did for you. And, as I said on the phone, anything that you would like to stay connected to and with us with, we've got lots of things sort of coming up. We would love you to have you on board with us and stay as part of the Live, Learn, Survive family, because it's a good crew. And there's a lot of people so excited to hopefully meet you sometime later in the year.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and adding on to that, mate, you'd be a great partner of understanding. You see from behind the closed doors what me and Lee have done in the last 10 plus years, but to have you have your input in some places too, that'll be amazing for you to do that as well. And we look forward to catching up with you throughout the year. I'll be seeing you every day, but more so.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? There was so much support up here in Brisbane. I'll actually, it probably rivaled Sam Fridays, if we're honest. We gave him a good run, because some of the border up here, and we've got the border, the charity's going to grow. We've got a 3-year strategy. And we've got a whole project that's going to be rolled out, hopefully, for Western Sydney. So it'll be great to keep you updated on all of that. And anytime you want to come and hang out with us, you are more than welcome. We would love to have you. So last question, Maxi, you tell Harrison all about the playlist.
The people that listen to the podcast every week, or every guest, and every week we do a podcast, we get a favourite song or a pump-up song, and we've added to the playlist. So we would love for you to give you your pump-up song that we could add to the playlist.
Probably for me, it would be, I reckon, which I loved listening there, would be Africa by Toto.
Great.
Has to be. What a classic. And we can't play it because the YouTube people ban us or send us we get the copyright things. So now we put it on YouTube. We can't do that anymore. So but brilliant song, and I would guess that Africa will forever hold a special piece of your heart and great mememories.
Very much so, and great people over there, so it was good.
Do you plan to go back one day and do it as a tourist as opposed to a...
Yeah, well, I guess I've kind of done it. I was a tourist after, but it's a big country and a lot to explore there, so I'd love to.
Yeah, well, Harrison, it's been an absolute joy to have you.
Yeah.
We are big hug from Brizzy. Till I get to see you in person, just thank you. We had so many people behind you, and you absolutely. I think Australia got to know Harrison the person. You, had the smile everybody was talking about. You smiled all the way through that pain, and were an absolute credit to yourself. And we couldn't have asked for anybody in there that could have represented us better. So thank you. And, just every opportunity that comes your way because of it, you will forever have us in your court.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And thanks for having me.
No, it's good.
No, absolutely. So Monday morning, what's on the rest of the day, boys?
Well, I got to go home and be day here because Tully's got to go to work. And
Okay.
He's got tees off to New Zealand on Wednesday.
Yeah, so I'm packing.
You're packing. Well, give our best to your mum and dad, and safe travels. And this will be out on Friday. And I better get a photo. Actually, we can put it on the socials. We'll give everyone the sneak peek. And it's been an absolute joy. So enjoy, everyone. Here he is, home from the jungle. Woo!
Thanks, Lee. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.